as of right now, I don't want to be too, let's say, political. First of all, well, so the gist is I am going to talk about this one because I got nothing else to left. First of all, I I can't believe that I don't think this should be a political matter to begin with. It's about Christmas, okay? Because yesterday was Christmas in my time. Today's the day after Christmas. And the whole, at least in the US, the whole thing about saying Merry Christmas, or it's become a political issue, which I think that is a made up narrative. Um, like that's not a real thing. No one really thinks that is like wrong to say. It's, but anyway, the point is, um, I it's on Christmas. It's not wrong to say Merry Christmas. It never is wrong to say Merry Christmas. Like I can see where the original argument from primarily left-leaning people in the states. I'm assuming this is all an assumption by just one random person talking about it on the internet. Um, but I'm guessing the idea came about uh, when, say, if you're talking to a non-Christian person and saying Merry Christmas to them, what it's not offensive. I don't think it's I don't think anybody considers that offensive. Like even non-Christian people, I don't think that's ever considered offensive. But it's I think the idea is that if you're Christian and you celebrate Christmas, and the other person that you're talking to is not Christian and therefore does not celebrate Christmas, if you say Merry Christmas to the non-Christian person, then you're basically assuming the other person is Christian, which is I don't want to call that offensive because I kind of dislike that word, but that would be considered rude. I'm guessing that's where the idea came about, and I actually agree with that notion. So it's kind of like, say, if you meet an Asian person, right? And you go up to them and then say ni hao, which is hello in Chinese, and that person happens to be, oh, hello, there's another viewer. Hi. Wow, I have three viewers today. That is incredible. Hello. I was just talking about Christmas. Um, Hope you don't dislike this subject matter. Because if you're American like myself, then you know that this particular subject matter has become rather politicized, unfortunately. But I was just talking about how. Ooh, hold on. I need to find a place to sleep. Okay, okay, I'm almost at my destination anyway. So let's sleep there. So yeah, I am currently working on the Christmas event for American Truck Simulator. But yeah, I was just talking about saying Merry Christmas if you're a Christian to a non-Christian person. And I can see how people might consider that rude. And as a comparison, I was talking about how, say, if you meet an Asian person, because you can immediately tell if somebody is of Asian descent, maybe not necessarily in nationality, but you can tell just by the way people look, because people look Asian if you're from Asia. Um, so, okay, let's just finish the job. How about that? So, yeah, if somebody looks Asian and you go up to them and then you say ni hao to them, which is hello in Chinese, then you are assuming that the Asian person in question is Chinese by default, which frankly is not a bad guess. It's a good educated guess considering how many Chinese people there are, as opposed to, say, like a Japanese person or a Korean person. There are far more Chinese people. So I see that's not an unreasonable guess when you meet an Asian person. However, if you happen to be wrong and that person was, say, Korean, they might be offended by that. They might think it's rude that you thought that person was Chinese. Maybe for because these nations in Europe and Asia, they are old and they have historical and political conflicts with each other all the time. So maybe this particular person is not a big fan of, say, China in this particular example. Let's say this Korean person that you greeted, for whatever reason, does not like China, and for maybe like a political reason, and does not like to be treated like he's a Chinese person. And you just greeted him in Chinese, assuming this person is Chinese. I can see how the Korean person in this particular situation could get angry about that. And in the same line of logic, maybe the person you said Merry Christmas to, who is not Christian, is maybe sick of being greeted as if this person is Christian. Maybe this has happened way too often and just didn't like it, and considers it rude to just kind of assume what they are. So I see that, definitely, that line of logic, and that argument against saying Merry Christmas to everybody around this time of the year. I get that. Um, so that's probably where the whole idea of saying Happy Holidays as opposed to Merry Christmas became a thing, especially considering, the population in America. There are a lot of Jewish population who actually have, say, days like Hanukkah that kind of overlap with the Christmas season, and people who celebrate Kwanzaa that also aligns with the Christmas season. And if you're not Christian, or if you don't celebrate Kwanzaa, or you're not Jewish, then you don't really have anything in December. And I can see why being treated as a Christian when you're not one might not be something that you're into. Now that said, saying Merry Christmas on Christmas Day is completely fine. I mean, it's like if you meet a Jewish person on Hanukkah, whether you yourself are Jewish or not, you could say Happy Hanukkah. Because it's it's essentially a sign of respect to that other person, right? You are acknowledging the other person's day of remembrance and respect, and you are kind of engaging with them in that aspect. So I actually think that is the opposite of rude. That is polite. So that is actually something that I think is good. But I think some people have gotten into this simplistic view where saying Merry Christmas by default is just not not polite to everybody. And I think if it is just a general season, like general month of December, saying Merry Christmas to everybody, probably I can agree with that notion. But in on the very like on Christmas Day, I think that's actually the opposite. It's a good thing to acknowledge that it's Christmas, even if you're not Christian. Um, so yeah, I think that's it's like it's not binary, you see. And the reason I bring this up is that I have a Twitter feed, and I was kind of scrolling through Twitter yesterday on Christmas Day, and I noticed a lot of company Twitters, like official Twitters of different brands. And okay, first of all, I understand that if you're a company Twitter, then it's it's marketing, so you have to be extremely careful at everything you say or post. So you have to play it safe at all times. I get it. So I don't really fault them for it, but it just came to my mind when I saw a lot of the company Twitters saying Happy Holidays on Christmas Day. Eh, yeah, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.